Welcome to another episode of Sounds of Mulika. We are here at the famous basketball court in Umoja 2, the Giants of Africa basketball court. And today this conversation is going to be super duper cool because as we address rape and defilement through the Mulika campaign, we're ending the silence and ending the cycle on rape and defilement. And who better than our guest for today? I'll allow him to introduce himself and tell us why he does what he does. Welcome to the set.
Thanks so much, Valerie. My name is Coach Musosi, one of the co-founders of ICE Basketball Association, and also kind of like a peer mentor. And Babayao, I have a lot of young people that look up to me as a coach or a father figure. Yeah.
Ni kweli we ni Babayao because nawaona tu wote wanakujia Mose natafuta Mose nisaidie Mose nifunze, and we're seeing that. So tell us, why basketball?
Yeah, it's obvious, and you can clearly see, apart from us being in Comorock, you've been able to see how basketball, just sports, is a magnet for young people. Then it's obvious that it becomes a very powerful tool for pushing social change issues. And one of the best one is the campaign running right now, the Mulika campaign of targeting rape and defilement. It's something that has really been happening in our society, and our area has not been left behind. So why basketball? It's because it's one of the most right spots for young people in this specific region of Eastlands. Yeah.
Now, talking about basketball, and you have many young people in your program, how many would you say you have roughly in total?
Yeah, FEBA is big. Now we are a very, very big family. We used to call ourselves FEBA, but we ended up adding the word nation behind it because it was so obvious that the number of young people that we directly impact and indirectly, it's huge. We did a survey, and in 2023, we had literally touched about 6,000 young people directly. That was very, very huge. You can imagine indirectly the number of young people that we can actually say that we've touched. But approximately, we can give a number, at least more than 10,000 young people have been impacted since we started directly or indirectly with what you guys are doing back here in Far East. Yeah.
Na sasa tunaingia hii maneno ya Baze.
Yeah.
Tunamulika. Sasa tuanze kumulika coaches. We're talking about rape and defilement.
Yeah.
Maneno ya coaches kusumbua wasichana sana sana. Si ni ukweli?
Ni kweli.
What's your take on that?
I think one, you can understand the power a coach has, especially to dictate a lot of things that happen to a kid. For us, a coach is like a second parent to a child. For some, I've been in the space, actually a coach even sometimes is the first parent. You can clearly see that a coach has a lot of power. But sadly, you find that in our spaces, especially for girls and young boys, they end up being victims of coaches that have the wrong intention or being in this space without the right skills. They end up misusing the power that they have been given and the privilege to work with the young people. And it's so obvious that we've had very, very sad stories from young girls saying that when I was playing basketball at this specific space with this particular coach, this and this happened. And you can clearly understand that the power that the coach had and the vulnerability of that young girl at that time, it was so obvious that the coaches did not understand, or they understood, but they were very intentional in maximizing and taking advantage of their power to get what they wanted. And rape and defilement is part and parcel of what comes out of such stories when you listen, and it's very, very sad. Yeah.
Just up to there. Ambia coach mwenye amefanya hizo vitu, mwambie kitu. Mwambie.
Yeah. It's so obvious that it's a clear struggle, especially for the coaches. Once they understand that they have responsibility, and the responsibility they carry is something that can dictate the life of where a young person will go. It's something that it's sad when you hear that, for example, Coach Moses took advantage of a certain girl X. And sadly, you can imagine that nothing is done about it. Why? Maybe it's a coach who is in power, and or maybe they sit on resources, or for lack of a better word, they are just rough and tough to deal with. And parents and even the girls, they opt not to address it. Sadly, we had a sad story that was last year where, I'm not going to mention the name, but a very, very senior coach who has been coaching basketball both in high school but also at the league national level was caught in kind of like, I would say, I'm going to say a speculation. She was speculated that he was taking advantage of a young girl, invited the girl to come to a certain place, intentionally made sure that the room that they were sharing was one, and the girl said that the coach wanted to take advantage of her, and that went viral. It was something that was actually being under investigation currently. Eventually, the police said that they did not find any wrongdoing.
Tuna Mulika.
They said they didn't find any wrongdoing.
That's why Tuna Mulika.
Yeah, but sadly, you find that it was not once or twice that something has been mentioned about that particular coach. So I would say this: coaches, we carry our responsibility, and we need to understand that and be very intentional to do good with it. We need to be the ones actually monitoring and working towards making the space safe for young people, not being the people that are perpetrating that. Yeah.
Hey, Coach Moses, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Today, you are the founder, one of the founders and the chairperson of the FEBA Nation, right?
Yeah.
A young girl who is not part of your team, from a different team, sees you as a figurehead within the organization and comes to you and tells you, my coach is taking advantage of me. How then do you, as the chairperson of FEBA, move to protect this young girl and ensure she is protected from this level, because you know it's levels from the community all the way up to the justice system? But how do you play your role to ensure that this girl is protected and all the other girls under that coach are protected?
In particular for us, for any young coach, a volunteer coach that chooses to work or maybe volunteer in FEBA, we have a child policy that they have to read it first, understand it, then sign it. I think we felt like if you don't have a child policy, something that guides how you engage, carry and handle, especially girls and young boys, you leave a lot of rooms for error, but also a lot of rooms for people to actually take advantage of. So we have a child policy that our coaches or anybody who's going to work with kids in our space has to read it. But let me say a big but. Definitely maybe one coach might be caught in a position where they take advantage of the child. Once we know about that, the first thing is the coach immediately stops coaching so that we guys are able to do our own investigation. And if we find it's true, then we have access to the police, we have access to the children officer, we have to report that, and we have that case handled by the police. Because you find that if you don't report it or if you don't talk about it and you choose to put it under the carpet because maybe it might taint the name or of the life of that young person, it's gonna be kind of like jeopardized. So for us, we are very, very intentional to make sure that if we see it, we spot it immediately, we Mulika it immediately, and we deal with it immediately. Yeah.
I think that's important. You've left out that you have a direct connection to the Department of Sports.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I think those structures are important.
Yeah.
But through Mulika and the conversations we've had with young people, we realize that wanna to fail, bana. Wanna fail.
Yeah.
Do?
I think for me is either we have not been making a lot of noise about it, and I like the fact that right now Mulika is giving us that platform to make the noise, to actually push, to kind of like point out.
Yeah.
Now they will not have a reason of not doing it. Maybe they would have said that we don't know, but now I feel like this space, this Mulika platform is creating an opportunity for us to actually have a conversation and address it directly to them. So I'm so happy to be part and parcel of this unique campaign. Yeah.
Now this Mulika, our focus is rape and defilement, addressing the systems that are failing our girls and boys. Sinukweli?
Yes.
Now, what do you have a problem with rape and defilement?
Of course I have a problem with rape and defilement.
What's your problem with rape and defilement?
It's one kind of like crime that I would say that directly affects the life of a young person. They'll definitely be traumatized for the rest of their life, and that is something that you might want to happen to anybody. It becomes a cycle, and sometimes I heard that perpetrators, sometimes you find that they're also victims in one or another, so they end up kind of like repeating the same cycle. So for me, why I'm against rape and defilement? Because I'm just gonna call it's almost like genocide. It's actually something that affects the normal functioning of a human being, and you know, something that I want to happen to myself or to anybody that I know. Yeah.
This conversation with the young ladies on the teams has been easier than what we've had when we're talking to the young men. Nini na maboy?
It's so obvious. My boy, two things. Cheza ngumu. Mwanaume afai kulia ni nini. Beba shida zako kimwanaume. But also sometimes it's sadly because we are mostly a big part of the perpetrators. So you find that also us being in that space where they are vulnerable, but also partly you might actually be a perpetrator. It's a very tricky balance sometimes. So I love the conversation. One, keep pushing us. Don't worry about it. Keep pushing us. We know that eventually it will break and we guys will be comfortable and more comfortable to talk about it and even address these issues to do with rape and defilement. Yeah.
The young men have to speak up because
Yes.
when the ladies are speaking on their own, those little girls, nani anawasikiza?
Yeah.
Inakaa tu kelele ya wamama,
Yeah.
as it has been branded everywhere. Si ni ukweli?
Ni ukweli.
Inaitwa kelele ya wamama.
Moshene.
Mushene.
Yeah.
Haina mwelekeo.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when we are saying we want to end the silence, we need to do it together.
Yeah.
So how are we doing it together with FEBA?
Yeah, it's so obvious. One, being part of the campaign has been great. To have this conversation has been great. It's so key that you guys have identified basketball as one of those things that FEBA is very strong. It has become a platform where we've been able to engage young people directly. Because I've loved the fact that they finish playing their games, they're ushered into the nice Mulika chill spot, and they're able to talk about issues that are affecting them. Watch some of the podcasts, and wow, they're powerful. So for me, I would say that most definitely this is one of the best experience. The first time that I feel like we're running a very serious campaign together with Resolve, and very, very proud to be part and parcel of it. Yeah.
Who else? We've only talked about coaches because that's where you sit,
Yeah.
right? But who else, when you look at this problem of rape and defilement, ni nani mwingine tunafaa kumulika?
I'm gonna breathe it aside because today, in the morning, actually, one of the young ladies kind of like just gave me a call. She was like, "Coach, I wanna meet with you at the basketball court." So I ended up. That's even why I ended up heading back there for some few minutes. So able to open up that one of her friends was actually defiled by her uncle, and the scenario has now titled where the young girl has been chased out of home by the father. Why? She ended up reporting the issue. The police and the family wanted it handled internally. So
In Nairobi?
here in Nairobi. So you can try to imagine that here people that are supposed to want to be the protectors are now the perpetrators. Because I even asked her, is the person her biological father? Like, yes, that left a lot of bitterness and heaviness in my heart. And it's clear now, parents, I would say, have key and to dare say sole responsibility of taking care of their kids. A home is one of the safest space a young person can be. If the home now become a space where it's no longer safe, it's so obvious now you're pushing this young lady or this young man to an area that you don't know what might happen, because it's so obvious now there's trauma at home. The girl now cannot stay in the same space. But where would you take the young person like that? It means that now, that part and parcel of a very key pillar in that young person's life is broken. And you can clearly see the spiral now. That's where they start abusing drugs. That's where they also take risks. They start taking risky behaviors. And we end up losing a life. So for me, that has been sad when I heard about it. And it's something that I felt like maybe we'll also refer to you guys before guidance and help. But you can clearly see one of the people that now we want to Mulika are parents and relatives and caregivers that are supposed to be key protectors. But now you can clearly see that they are dropping the ball. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
These children don't have access to information. Yeah, they don't have access to medical services to attend to those issues they are dealing with, and then we don't have access to justice.
Yeah.
So Shida left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And through Mulika, we want to address that.
Yeah.
We have to address it.
Yeah.
And we want to see numbers changing. We want to see reporting increasing. So unamulika wazazi. Nani mwingine unamulika?
Most definitely, the next people will be the people in power, the police. I'm going to say the government, because now the government is a collective let me say machine. Government is a very powerful machine. If they decide they want to address and end this cycle, they have all the machinery to do it. So we kind of like mulikaring the government, the police, officers, the youth officers, people that are in these spaces, come on, let's do our work, especially if we have one successful prosecution that will be documented all over, just one that has been well done. It will actually deter others that might want to even think of trying. So we kind of like putting the government on the spotlight. Come on, we can do better. I know they will say that we are trying. It's okay, but come on, we know that you guys are powerful and you can do better. And it's so obvious that by you doing that, the space for young people is going to be safe. Yeah.
It has to be safe.
It has to be safe.
We have to make it safe.
It has to be safe.
Tunalinda Baze. Tuko rada
vibaya sana,
tunamulika,
lazima tubanje story, lazima tubanje history
tutamalo
kabisa.
A question, since we launched on 22nd, that was 22nd March, right? We have had very many conversations with the young people, both boys and girls. What kind of feedback, what sort of improvement are you seeing within the young people who are playing basketball? Is there a confidence with how they're carrying themselves, especially around the issues of rape and defilement? What difference are you seeing with the young people who are playing basketball within FEBA?
One clear difference is now a lot of the young people are speaking out. I think watching some of the podcasts, I was actually surprised. Some of the most silent players on the court were the most vocal on the podcast. I really, really like that because it's so obvious that now they kind of like, as you're saying, they're getting the information, they're digesting it, and now they're able to speak out against this issue. That's one clear thing that we've seen. But I also loved seeing some of the content that they've been creating on the social media platform just to address rape and defilement using their own unique way. That is something that has really been inspiring, and we'll love to see more of that. Yeah.
I think also the fact that some of the kids are actually reporting, they are calling the coach to say this has happened to my friend.
That's so obvious.
I think that's a step in the right direction. Because we are ending the silence. We are ending the silence so that we can end the cycle. Thank you very much, Coach Moses.
Thanks, Val and Doreen. It was an honor sitting in this beautiful chill spot. This is how the young people feel. Wana feeling poa. Na kwa lazima nikwe ikubanja spot.